Alright guys, welcome to VALORANT News. The VCT playoffs are just getting underway in the various regions around the world, but big talks of course as well about what's going on with Rostermania right now, especially with the likes of Marved, recently released from Gen.G, looking to return ASAP back into the Pro League. Certainly given the way that Marved was treated and Demon won as well on that Gen.G team that eventually bombed out of the entire season just a few days ago. Does that put Marved in a rather good position in terms of his stock to get back onto a good team very soon indeed? And even Som, currently still of Gen.G, has a quick word on the situation. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Speaking of Nadeshot, this isn't obviously Nadeshot, but you know what I mean. There's maybe some parallels to be drawn. Him and Boostio had another pretty funny back and forth here, to be fair. As Nade says, better content than what Boostio could make in 14 hours, just because we know all the drama recently between Boostio and Nade, when Boostio made the comments about 100 Thieves not caring about winning, making too much content, and in the end, Thieves, they got the job done with Boostio. They qualify for the playoffs, and they're in a pretty nice spot, I would say, Thieves, to make it through to champs, because if the favourites, as in Sen, Lev and G2, if they all qualify through the playoffs for the World Championship, 100T are the team remaining with the most points, and therefore they would then qualify going into the World Championship. So they're in a decent position there. As Nadeshot says, please Boostio, don't be mad. Me and my chat came up with the caption, sort of a clip farming. If anything, you know, just blame the chat. I don't know what, no trouble from you type thing. You're the boss. How can I be mad at you? So it seems like things are maybe somewhat more resolved now between those two guys. I guess time will tell whether they deliver the results the nation is hoping for, because, you know, winning the Americas back in stage 1, decent result in Shanghai. Since then, they haven't, on average, looked quite as good as they did during that time frame. So, yeah, we'll see if anything like this, the gums and the mints or whatever the 100T are putting out, are going to make the difference when it comes down to their attempted run of the playoffs. Just quickly from Leo Farrier here, and of course, calling the shots with his team on the decisions for next year's VCT. So, this was an interesting reply here from this guy, Christopher, who says the follows. Hello, Leo. Sorry that I'm replying under this, but I'm really pissed off at this, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree. As head of VALORANT Esports, do you really believe teams paying year-long salaries for players who are able to play 12 matches a year is a sustainable esports model? Which is basically true for teams like Gen.G, for example, who didn't qualify for the big tournaments, and therefore their season is just done and they've played barely any games. In CS, random teams play 12 matches in 2 weeks, and they can take a break if they're tired. In VALORANT, teams wait for months to play a match, they're cold, matches are low quality because lots of teams didn't have any officials for 5 months, an unsuccessful team plays only 12 matches a year, and they get paid for 12 months. So they're paid 1 month of salary for each match. That roster might become a championship team if they played officials for 3 months and could improve in those official games and find a rhythm, but Riot has not given them that chance to do so. Are you planning to revamp the esports scene and let third-party organisers to join, etc., etc.? This is hurting the ecosystem a lot. So Leo Farrier talks about the duration of the season, right? And that is a big one. The season is short this year. Nobody doubts that. Next year, though, they say, yes, we will be starting in January 2025 and running into early October, giving us a 2 to 3 months off season, which feels a lot better, which is true. Like, this is good. This is a good season format. I'm pretty happy with this. January to October, fine by me. The problem is, are there enough games to fill the time? Are we just taking the current season and stretching it out? Or are there more games within that? Because this is what Leo says on the quality, or the quantity and the volume of the matches. In the VCT, fans come first. Teams and pros are effectively partners, whereas the audience is what matters. So they're basically saying, Riot, the fans come first, the teams and the professional players, they follow on from that, and their data indicates that for, you know, our data shows that from the several millions of fans that the VCT has, the absolute majority engage with multiple teams and multiple leagues and competitions. So we optimize the support for the majority, because, you know, I will say, look, there's 12 matches if you bomb out of the season, but there are also 4 leagues of 12 teams there will be next year. So there's a lot of VALORANT to watch, I think. Still, generally that is true. But I don't know if I really agree with the idea that, oh, well, VALORANT fans are fans of VALORANT and not fans of specific teams and regions, therefore they'll watch everything. Sure, those of us who are really invested in the esport will, but those that aren't necessarily, and those that are, let's say, Sentinels fans, or even, let's say, Gen.G fans, their season is now done. Are they going to watch? Maybe they will watch some of the playoffs or whatever in their region, but they may well not. And I just think that there's a worthy conversation being had here between what the VCT is doing and their explanation for why there are so few games, and what, like, every other sport does. Like in the Premier League, you have fans of certain teams. And sure, a fan of like Southampton will possibly still watch the Manchester City versus Arsenal game that's going to decide the title, but that doesn't mean that they're going to watch all of those games. They're not just going to be fans generally of their own team. But in the Premier League, the team will play 38 games a season in the regular Premier League, and then the FA Cup, and then the League Cup, and then all the other tournaments they can get involved in as well if they so choose to. So I just think there's something to be said here, because I agree with Christopher that it doesn't seem sustainable that you can pay players their monthly salary per match effectively, and are you going to expect those teams to keep salarying those players longer term? I know those teams are making money because of the stipend and everything, but yeah, I don't know how sustainable that really is. Just quickly on the challenger side, the final game went down between M80 and Moist Shopify. A close fought 2-0 here, so maybe showing that M80 have made a good decision making the changes they did. Of course, you know, BCJ and Net coming in, or well, Net coming in really instead of Nitro, of course, who's now gone back to CS, but it was 13-10, 15-13 in the end on the Haven. So big result there. That leaves the regular season looking like this. So yeah, only a couple of teams officially bow out, but from there we shall see who's going to get through to, of course, promotion, relegation, and then through to the finals. Quickly on the World Championship, the prize pool has been revealed. It's going to be yet again over $2 million, as it was last year, $1 million for first. I think this is probably about right. So, like, they could increase it, but at the end of the day, the teams and the players can make bank because they get proceeds from the bundles, right? So qualifying is definitely a big deal, and this is why, look, some of the teams will pay a lot of money to these players to not play many matches a year, but if you do qualify for champions, then you can cash in big time because you are going to play more games, and as a result, you are going to be able to cash in big time on the Champions Bundle, among others. Now, the Pacific is going down. As it stands, Gen.G just 2-0'd RRQ. So a clean 2-0. That puts Gen.G in a nice position to get them through, of course, to the World Championship, right? They should be basically locked in now. Fair play to RRQ making it competitive. Monyet and the guys, of course, over there, but that knocks them out. So their chances are now done of qualifying. So Gen.G go through to play Paper X. Team Secret play Talon. That's coming up very shortly indeed as I'm recording this one. Fnatic, by the way, they've made it to the World Championship. That is, I think, now guaranteed because they ended the season with the most regular season points. So whatever happens now at the playoffs, Fnatic will be there. But even the playoffs look relatively favourable for them as well. There was some drama as well on what's happened elsewhere in EMEA yesterday because Na'Vi, they, despite their massive slump, they started well enough that they still just about qualified. Kind of a crew esports phenomenon, really, that's going on in the Americas. So they got just about the last slot here. One of the pieces of drama, though, was that Liquid thought they were out. They tweeted, yep, our season is over. Sorry to disappoint the fans. We're done. We'll be back stronger type thing. But actually, there was a possibility based on if Vitality won and if Gentle Mates won that, they would be sorted. And we know that Safe has made very clear his resentment towards Liquid for the way they treated him before. They 2-0'd them the other day. And then as he actually said in the replies here, just smoked 3 blunts before this game, like basically saying, oh, I'm going to lose for sure. So you guys don't make it through. And eventually, though, Vitality did win the series that they were trying to, and they did take down Carmine Corp. But actually, on the other side, Gentlemates lost. So it didn't matter in the end, and Liquid didn't make it through. They finished 4-6, as with BBL, and that means that Carmine Corp, Na'Vi, Vitality, Fnatic, FUT Esports, Heretics, those are the teams that will make it through to the playoffs in the EMEA. But as I said, Fnatic, they have the most points, so they will get through to the World Championship, it seems, basically anyway. So yeah, Safe eventually gets the 2-1 win, puts Vitality in a nice spot, and this is what the playoff bracket is going to be looking like though, right? So FUT Esports and Team Heretics as the top 2 seeds, they get the advancement. Interesting to see Fnatic KC again, because that of course was an important matchup right back at the start of the season. Maybe history could repeat itself there to some extent, and then Vitality Na'Vi on the other side. But this was the tweet I was talking about at the start of the video, right? Because as Marved says, looking for team, what's going on? And some goes, I need you, see you soon type things. Obviously joking around to some extent, but I will say the way the season ended for Marved, the fact that he was dropped from NRG and they certainly didn't get substantially better. They may have improved in certain areas slightly, but it obviously wasn't good enough to make the World Championship, and in the end they bowed out relatively emphatically. So big problem of course for the NRG boys to think about what they do going forwards. are they going to bring Marved back? I think really what NRG are going to need to do is change up the coaching staff, right? We've talked about Potter potentially coming in or whatever the case is. Do something like that, switch up the mindset of the team, then decide what they're going to do. But I think that Marved's stock, it wasn't looking great after he got dropped from NRG, but actually nowadays, that's slightly less clear. Marved definitely has a lot of optimism around his play, I would say, again, just because they got rid of him as they got rid of Demon 1 and the team didn't do all that well. So, and then Som is kind of implying, need you back type thing. So, who knows what the future holds here, but very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.